Welcome to this week's edition of the WiEA Pod. I'm Verona Frankish and I am the chair of Women in Estate Agency, and I get the absolute pleasure to sit down on a regular basis and just have a chat with some of the most incredible people within our WiEA community. Of course, this could not happen without the support of our incredible sponsors, Digital Sparks, who bring our stories to life every single week. So thank you to Digital Sparks for your support. So settle in, grab a cuppa, and welcome to the WiEA Pod. So my guest this week, I'm absolutely thrilled to be sitting down and chatting to our brand spanking new member of the WiEA board, the very wonderful Shanice Gandhi. Welcome.
Thank you.
So Shanice, I'm not going to lie, today is a brilliant opportunity for me to get to know you a bit more as well. And also to do that with a number of cameras in our face. How brilliant is that?
Very, excited. First ever podcast, so looking forward to it.
Well, you better get used to that, I can tell you. So, Shanice, I do know a little bit about you because I've known your mum and dad for a number of years. So you grew up with your dad in a estate agency in his latter years, and your mum in banking. Surely ending up in property was pretty inevitable for you.
Yeah, so obviously my dad didn't start in property. He fell into property through bad experiences. My mum, she'd been in banking the whole time. So they'd both worked for PLCs for 20 plus years. I then found myself working at a PLC once I finished uni, and that was with Taylor Wimpey. So I kind of went into property on the construction side. I'll be honest, I didn't want to be involved in the family business. I thought, I don't want to just follow my dad. I want to do something for myself. Going into banking wasn't for me either. Pivoted kind of 18 months ago into a state agency, and I'm not looking back.
Okay, so let's just take it back a little step then. So you came out of university. What did you study at uni? Economics.
So I love languages, but I wasn't going to be kind of doing that at uni. It was a little bit too much. Really liked business, really liked economics, so I just went with what I enjoyed the most. I had zero clue what I wanted to do. I got to the end of uni and was panicking because everybody was applying for jobs and I still did not know what to do. I was looking at grad jobs and I found one at Taylor Wimpey, and again, I never looked back. I did land, customer services, sales, every aspect of construction. I mean, at one point I was laying bricks on site. I'd never been up scaffold. I'd never been up on a roof before. I'm scared of heights, so that wasn't exactly for me. But yeah, I did 8-week stint on site as well.
Wow.
So it opened my eyes to what was out there. And I think one part for me, and this is why I'm really passionate as well about women in estate agency, is I never even knew some of those jobs existed when I was at school, let alone when I was at university. So yeah, it was brilliant, and it's shaped probably who I am today.
So the Taylor Wimpey role, when you started that, I'm guessing, I've never worked in construction, but I'm guessing you were stepping into a very male-dominated environment.
Yes.
How was that?
It was hard. It was hard. When I did a stint on site, I didn't know anything about building. I didn't understand any of the terms, and nearly every contractor on site was male. I mean, even, it's got a lot better now, but even to the point where you had to ask for a key to go to the ladies' toilet. So everybody knew that you needed to go to the toilet. And I mean, one time I went into the toilet and the site manager put his bike in there because there was just little regard for the women on site. It's changed massively now, massively. When I got my permanent position at Taylor Wimpey after the graduate scheme, I was in a department which was probably 80% men. And actually now, I know I'm not there, it's 50-50.
Brilliant.
Which is brilliant.
Yeah, that's
the
progress.
MD is a woman, my old director is a woman, so it's great to see.
And when you were there, I know the volume of men was greater than the volume of women, and I get the piece about the sort of they didn't think that that someone was going to use that bathroom. Yeah. But did you experience misogyny or bad treatment in any way, or was it just about the fact that it was dominated with physically with men?
Yeah, it was just the domination of it being a male environment. Yeah, I think you do have to be thick-skinned. Mm-hmm. People make a lot of comments. They don't mean it with ill intent. But I mean, one time I joined a virtual call after COVID, and I joined and everyone was talking about football, and there was probably 6 guys on the call, and they were like, "Oh, sorry, we'll stop talking." I said, "It's fine. Yeah. I go to the football with my dad."
I understand football. Yeah, just because we wear a skirt doesn't mean we don't like football, right?
So I said, "I go to the football with my dad. I love it." Yeah. And they're like, "Oh, right, okay." And suddenly the dynamic changed. But I think that's something that I embrace now. Yeah. I think I'm probably quite shy at home. I'm more of an inward person, whereas when I'm at work and I'm my work self, I have to be outgoing, especially for the role that we do. And it's kind of bringing that persona to work, and in the sales environment particularly, I do probably change how I am a little bit. But I've took all the best bits, I'd like to think, from when I worked.
Do you know, it's such an interesting point, because whenever I was growing up a lot further back than when you were starting in Taylor Wimpey, but I was also in a very male-dominated environment, and I felt like I had to dial up my male. I felt like I had to almost play a part at work, so I can totally resonate. And part of me thinks, well, that was character building, and that was a good thing for me to learn. But also part of me thinks, I wish I could have just been myself. Now I don't know where I would be now, what difference would it make had I had the confidence just to be myself. But I think back then, I think I probably needed to dial up, and I probably needed to play a little bit of a part, because the world was very different then.
Yeah, and as awful as it sounds, I definitely did that as well. When I was at Taylor Wimpey, it was all about corporate events, and to grow the ladder, you had to go to every event. I was the person that never said no. I went to everything, and actually probably to the detriment of my own relationships outside of work. So I was very, very close with everyone at work. I'd always work extra hours, but that's because I saw where I wanted to be. And I didn't have responsibilities. I don't have children. Yes, I had a partner, but my partner also works a lot. So we were both career driven. And I think what's happened in the last 2 or 3 years of my life, I wouldn't do that now. And that has completely changed.
Yeah, your perspective is different now. Yeah.
So, but I wouldn't take any of it back.
Sure. And just in terms of your ambition and your drive, where's that come from?
My mum and dad, 100%. My mum, God, she were putting all my stuff in the car. We were setting off at 6 a.m. to get to school, because she had to get to work for 8 o'clock. So I'm at before school club, after school club, and it was military operation. And I remember when I went to sixth form and I got my own car and I drove myself to sixth form, she was like, "What do I do with all this time?" Yeah. She suddenly had so much time back. I mean,
because you're an only child, right?
Yeah. And I'm so grateful. I mean, I don't think they could afford another one, to be honest. But I think the love that they gave me, they did things for me that they never had in their childhood. Yeah. And that's something they've always said. I was fortunate. I went to a private school, but again, it was 40 miles down the road. So I was in the car of luxury. And then after 2 years, my mum said, "I need to get on the train." So I was like, oh gosh. But imagine there's about 50 school kids getting on this train. And if you miss your stop, you're on your way to London. Yeah. So all those things at the time, they were awful and scary. But now I look back and I think definitely character building.
For sure, for sure. So you spent how long at Taylor Wimpey?
6.5 to 7 years.
Okay, so moving away from a big corporate environment where you had progressed up the ladder, were doing incredibly well, and you decided to change all of that. Tell me a bit about that.
So my last probably 6 or 7 months at my old job at Taylor Wimpey, I got to a ceiling point, and I felt like, what is next for me? There was a lot of changes going on, and I just felt like I want more, and I'm not going to be able, or I'm not going to be happy waiting 12, 24 months for more. And actually, we had my mum's best friend over for New Year. She flew in from Canada, and she was asking me how was work going and all these things. So I was explaining and saying, oh, I'm not too happy with this, not too happy with that. And she said, right, well, only you can change it. So I was like, yeah, I know, but I'm thinking this. She said, but what's stopping you? I said, oh yeah, I'm not sure. So she said, oh well, I'm just planting seeds, leave it with you. So that was New Year. And then my birthday's in February. So I'd actually gone to my mum and dad's house just for the weekend. My partner, our birthdays are actually very close together. So he was away for his birthday. I was with my mum and dad, and my mum's best friend FaceTimed. So they're chatting away, and she said, can I speak to Shanice? And I thought, oh God, I know exactly.
You're going to get a grill in here.
Yeah, I know exactly what she's going to ask. And the first question was, are you still working at Taylor Wimpey? I said, yeah. Has anything changed? No. What are you going to do? What are you waiting for? So I thought, oh, I had nothing to say. I had no answers whatsoever. And then I said, oh no. I said, oh, I'm just a bit worried. I'm just a bit scared. And she said, about what? She said, you're in such a fortunate position. The world's your oyster, and only you are holding yourself back. And that night I wrote my resignation. I then went to work on the Monday and I handed it in. And I'm not impulsive at all. That's one trait from my dad that I don't have. I overthink things a lot, and especially if it's going to affect me. At the time, we were living in the Northwest. Mm-hmm. We were very happy there. We just renewed our mortgage.
Oh dear, bad time.
Yeah. So a lot of things to consider. But yeah, it shocked everyone when I did it because, like I say, it was a split decision, but it was something that was probably at the back of my mind for a while. Mm-hmm. And yeah, 18 months down the line, here we are.
So you resigned. Did you have a plan?
Yes. So the plan was to obviously enter the family business.
Is that something you discussed with the family first, or you just forced yourself upon the situation?
Yeah. So I think for me, I'd always said I don't want to be in the family business, and my dad was very conscious that he didn't want to push it onto me either. My dad's gone through some health problems, and it's just made us all closer. We've done a lot of experiences as a family that we thought we're not waiting any longer. We're just going to do them. And we'd had a few conversations, and I think I was just waiting for my dad to come to say, do you want to join the business? And that just didn't happen. And it was when my mom's best friend said, look, you need to put yourself forward, put yourself above the parapet and say, this is what I want. And if it's not achievable, you're going to have to find a way to get it.
Was there part of your dad not wanting to offer you because he didn't want to force you down a path?
Yes.
Yeah. So he wanted it to come from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so you were at stalemate.
Yeah, but neither of us were speaking about it.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like I'm expecting him to read my mind, and he's sat back watching what's unfolding.
Yeah.
So I just said, look, I have zero estate agency experience, but I have a developer background. I can see all these things for the business and the growth of the business, and I think we can offer a whole lot more to the industry. My dad obviously has a lot of connections anyway, but the direction the business was going in, my dad hadn't actively been in the business for probably 2 years.
Right.
So I said, look, I think we need to pivot the direction we're going in, and we can do that together. So weirdly enough, when I actually joined the business, it was almost like we both came back together.
Right.
Because he'd been away for so long. Mm-hmm. So that was quite nice, actually.
So I know this is probably a sensitive topic, but you've touched on your dad's health challenges. And just for our audience, it's probably worth clarifying. Your dad is Sanjay Gandhi, who's obviously very well known in the industry and much loved in the industry. So tell us a little bit about how your dad was diagnosed and how that kind of unfolded as a family, because he's been incredibly open about it and incredibly advocating for the charity and does a lot of work for the charity. But I can imagine in a small family, when you're the only child and in a very close family, that would have been pretty tough for you all.
Yeah, so, when about, I think it was 2023 now, we'd booked to go to Dubai. Family holiday, we do it nearly every single year, and it was in the May time, and I was obviously living in the Northwest, so all my suitcase and everything was at my mum and dad's. So I'd arranged on the Friday night after work, I'm going to go to their house, get my suitcase, spend the weekend with them, head back, get packed. So I got there, and then they just said, oh, we need to speak to you. So I didn't think it was going to be anything. I thought, oh, I'm going to get told off, I've spent too much money, or I've done something that I shouldn't have done. But we stood in the kitchen and just nobody speaking. And then my mum and dad are looking at each other, and you just get this feeling that something's not right. And they just said, oh, we're not sure, but there's something that's happened that we need to tell you about. So yeah, it was strange. I just think nobody could get the words out. Nobody knew what to say. Everybody knows that we're going on holiday. And there just wasn't words to say. My dad actually went to the appointment on his own. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, my dad being my dad, he was like, can I just record this conversation? Because there's no way I'm going to remember this conversation too. And he's like, my wife's going to ask lots of questions and I'm not going to have the answers. So luckily he recorded it and we all listened to it back. And naturally we had a lot of questions. And funnily enough, actually the first person that my dad told was Ian McKenzie, CEO of the Guild. So Ian had travelled a long way to come and meet my dad that day at our offices. And in the morning, my dad just saw he was going to the doctors for this appointment. And then obviously all this news came out about his tumour. So yeah, Ian, I can't thank him enough for being the person that was there for my dad.
Well, no better person to be there for your dad, because he's hugely empathetic and is a big supporter of your dad in any case, and a very good friend. So, yeah.
Yeah, so it was actually, he told Ian and he kind of said, please don't tell anyone. He actually watched a documentary on BBC and he watched other people explain how an illness has affected them. And that made him change his mind, because actually him and my mum didn't want to tell me. So I'm glad they did. But I think sometimes if nobody knew, that would almost be even harder than what we've had to go through. But yeah.
It's so, and I have a number of friends who suffer from breast cancer and various different types of cancer, and everybody chooses their own way of dealing with it. And some people, like Sarah, was incredibly vocal about it because she wanted to raise awareness and she wanted to educate people and she wanted to live her life. But she also acknowledged and realised that she needed support during that time. And other people just want to keep it private. And, you know, everybody's path is theirs and they've, you know, got the right to handle it however they want. But of course, none of us know how we would deal with it unless we're in those shoes. But I think what your dad has been able to do has been incredible, how he's shared his story and has had a huge amount of support from right across the industry, friends and family. And, you know, how has it affected you as a family? Has it brought you closer?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was always super close with my mum. Me and my dad, we didn't really argue, but we just kind of disagree about a few things. And we go to the football together and we just did kind of dad-daughter things, whereas now we work together as well. So I used
I used to speak to
my mum every day, and now I speak to my dad multiple times a day. I think I've already spoke to him 6 times today, and they're not even in the country. So, yeah, the dynamic has changed slightly because we're working together, and we both have quite strong opinions, and how we blend that together in a work environment is testing.
But that's all learning as well for future, because we're surrounded by people that we don't always get on with, right? So that's good test as well.
But in terms of actually as a family, I mean, you know yourself, my dad is a super positive person.
He is, yeah.
I mean, God, if you slightly feeling negative, he says, what have you got to worry about? Yeah. I mean, there was one day in the hospital, my dad was on critical care, and one of the surgeons pulled me and my mum in and said, look, are you okay? Do you understand what's going on? Like, do you understand the severity of what's going on? And we were kind of like, yeah, like, what's the problem? Like, we know exactly, we know what's coming next, what's already happened. Like, let's just get on with it. Mm-hmm. And he was kind of like, are you absolutely sure? And we're like, yeah. And I think if that wasn't for my dad, we wouldn't have that super positive attitude. Yeah. And I think we really would have struggled. But now we don't take anything for granted. Yeah. And we just live life to the full. I know it's a bit of a cliche. A lot of people probably say that. But family and our friends are the most important things to us now. And how I said previously, when I worked at corporate, I'd always say yes to everything. Yeah. Now I know it's okay to say no to things, and to prioritise that time at home. Yeah. I mean, I took my dad to the train station the other day at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I wanted to lie in, but I was like, those are the little things that are the most important now. Yeah.
And isn't it a shame, though, that it takes something catastrophic to happen for us to acknowledge and realise that we should make the most of all the little things? And we all say it, and unfortunately we get stuck in the rut of life, and that's what happens. So a very good reminder to all of us, for sure. Yeah. So thank you for sharing that. One of the things that I know you feel very strongly about is about attracting young women into property. So why do you feel so strongly about that?
For me, as I touched on previously, when I was at school, when I was at university, the careers that I see in estate agency, in construction, in property generally, I did not know that they existed. And I think it's a real shame. Unless you know someone who's an agent or you know somebody who's in property, you don't see those careers. I mean, when I was at school, doctors, solicitors, scientists, if you like, animals, vets, and
the traditional paths.
I don't love animals, I'll be honest. I don't. So I wasn't going to be a vet. I don't like blood, so I wasn't going to be a doctor. So I was kind of like, well, where do I go? Yeah. And people are getting these great grades, and I'm thinking, I don't know what to do. And it was only until I started at Taylor Wimpey and I saw this is how you build houses. You have somebody buying the land, you have somebody building the houses, you have somebody buying the materials. I didn't know.
A whole new world.
Yeah, and only then when I started speaking to suppliers, the people, the ground workers, the joiners, and even in a estate agency, the financial services, insurance, the sales side, the letting side, the referencing, all these other things, I think, wow.
There's so much variety in property. And regardless of your skill set, whether you're good with maths, good with people, good with being creative, there's a whole industry there that can take so many ranges of skills and skill sets that, you're right, we don't promote it enough, do we?
And the thing is, I mean, one of the girls I went to uni with, she did a psychology degree, and she's working in marketing now. And it's crazy to see how that transpires, because I see the things she posts and I think, wow. And same with the estate agency. If you just have those little insights into the way people think, I mean, we went to a guild conference and they had a piece about pricing, and it was all psychological.
It was great.
Pricing my platypus, unbelievable. We took it back and straight away we implemented it because it was the easiest way to get the packages out there that we wanted, all just from that insight of psychology, which if now I went to a sixth form and spoke about people that like doing psychology, they wouldn't even think about coming into a estate agency. So for me, it's just crazy that we haven't got enough people advocating all these different roles that you can go into.
Yeah. Which brings me, I guess, to your new position on the WiEA board. So whenever we asked you to consider a position on the board, you didn't even blink, I don't think. You were very keen to join us. So it'd just be good for us to understand what it meant to you whenever we asked you about it, and what being on the board means to you now.
Yeah, so I probably didn't blink. That first conversation I had with you and Kirsty, it was just yes from the get-go. And I knew it was going to be a lot of work, and I'm not shy to do the work. It's a new challenge for me. Like I said, I'm new into a estate agency. I don't have all the contacts that other people do, but for me, if we can just educate the younger generation and show them what is out there, surely that is a good thing. And I know a lot of people, they watch Selling Sunset and Selling London, and everyone gets transfixed on this is the glamorous side of estate agency. But if you're willing to work hard and you want a career, there's something out there for everyone. And I think it's just putting our best foot forward, like with women in estate agency, showing them the community that is out there. When I joined a Facebook group, I was like, wow, I couldn't believe it. And I'm like reading all these posts and I'm going all the way back and I'm thinking, wow, there's
what was
something
it about
there for
that?
Everyone.
What was it about that impressed or shocked you?
There's ladies doing wellness talks. It's not just about the typical day-to-day of being in an estate agency. There's something in there for suppliers. There's people in there wanting a full career change. You don't have to go into a estate agency having worked for an estate agent. I've took a career change in a way. Yes, it's been from property, but I'd never sold a house before. I didn't even know how to start that conversation. And funnily enough, actually, I sold my house once we started. So I'd gone through that whole journey. So now I truly understand. But yeah, it was just, there was something there for everyone and everybody was so supportive. It's admirable looking at the things that people have achieved, even seeing what women in estate agencies achieved in the last couple of years. And I don't think in some industries there's a support like that. I know when I worked in construction, there wasn't anything to this degree at all. It was a couple of networking events in a bar, but God, there is something there for everybody in the group. So
I think it's so interesting that you say that, because to an extent, I think we almost take for granted the size of the community, the impact of the community, because, it's now over 4,600 women. And, as I do go in there every single day, there is countless posts every single day for people either seeking support, giving support, as you say, on a range of topics. And I think because it's now a mainstay of our industry, I think we forget that actually 5 years ago it didn't exist. And if Leanna and Claire hadn't created that Facebook group during lockdown, what difference would this industry look like today? And I have no question that the entire movement has changed the industry. And that gives me confidence about where we can take it in the future. And really genuinely thrilled to have a completely different perspective on the board, because you bring, as we said to you whenever we asked you to join, you bring a different perspective, a younger dynamic, let's say, than we've got today. I don't mind saying that. So we're delighted to have you on the board. And thank you for sharing your story today. I have one final question we always finish the pod with, which is, who else would you like to see in that chair on the pod in the future?
So my nomination is going to be another independent agent, actually. They've won #1 letting and sales agency of the year. So Mr. John Newhouse of Rosebery and Newhouse.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. Do you know what? We typically have mostly women nominated, so it's great to have some more men, because as you know, we're an equal opportunities pod. So yeah, that's a great nomination. So
I think he'll bring good insight. I know he's had plenty of experiences in the industry, and for somebody who didn't like lettings to be winning that award is brilliant.
phenomenal. Great recommendation. Thank you. Shanice, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
A pleasure. And thank you for watching this week's edition of the WiEA Pod. We'll see you next time.